After a 2-year hiatus due to the pandemic, San Diego Comic-Con is back. And I think we took for granted just how big the reveals were at these big, awesome shows like these. SDCC is the largest comic book convention in the world, and it's beyond comic books now. It's a mecca for pop culture, with all the major studios showing up and all these big name stars showing off their new stuff that's coming. And the ridiculously good cosplay from fans makes it even more exciting to watch. So in this video, we're going to go over what were the top 5 reveals at SDCC 2022 and 5 honorable mentions as well, as we go into full fanboy nerd mode. Welcome to Comic Power. My name is Comic Killer 72, and welcome to another episode of The Quick Flip. This is the program where I go over comic book industry news in a short period of time. All right, let's get right into it. Welcome back, SDCC and all the other cons. We missed you so much. Number 5 is Daredevil, Born Again. This is a project that is basically rebooting the Netflix live-action Daredevil series that started back in 2015, starring Charlie Cox. And he's reprising his role, as well as Vincent D'Onofrio, who's coming back as the Kingpin. The Netflix series of the overarching team with the Defenders, who had all their own shows, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, was not properly in the MCU. It only had a small little connection. Netflix and Disney discontinued their deal because they became competitors when Disney decided to do Disney Plus. Netflix had the exclusive rights to these characters, and Disney now has that back, so now they're in the MCU. Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, made a cameo in Spider-Man No Way Home, and the Kingpin made a small appearance in the Hawkeye web series. So this was Marvel's way of transitioning these characters into the MCU proper. Daredevil Born Again was a storyline from the comics that was created by Frank Miller. Of course, Frank. In which the Karen Page character goes down a dark rabbit hole and becomes a heroin addict who's doing adult film. And she falls on even harder times, and she sells the information that she knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, and the Kingpin finds out about it. So will Marvel follow this storyline beat for beat? And will all of the Defenders show up in the proper MCU in the future as well? I hope so. Well, everybody except for Iron Fist. I couldn't stand that guy. They need to replace him. Finn Jones, you phoned it in and you should be replaced. Everyone else is welcome in my opinion. Born Again will be a web series. It will be on Disney Plus. We don't have a street date at the time of this video. I'm very excited to see the return of this character and his adventures. Number 4 is XMen 97. This is a continuation of the XMen animated series that started back in 1992. And let's be real, the original animated series of the X-Men is iconic. It took them from the pages of the comics and made them household names to people who didn't actually read comics. The live-action versions from Fox gave us very wimpy versions of Storm and Rogue, but the animated series gave them the versions we know that kicked ass. The animated series has remained popular 30 years after its release, and Marvel has dedicated a comic series drawn in this style in this universe all through the 2010s and the 2020s. Yes, the X-Men are in the MCU. We got some teases that there are now mutants in the MCU, like the Illuminati scene in Doctor Strange 2 where Patrick Stewart reprises his role as Professor X and then dies pretty quickly. Wanda, you're so terrible. And Kamala Khan, the new Miss Marvel, in her web series at the end, it gave a hint that she might be a mutant instead of an Inhuman. And you can hear a snippet of the X-Men animated show theme song in the background. So I'm glad to have this animated series back. It will whet our appetite until we get the actual X-Men live action. Marvel states it's going to fix the Fantastic Four, which also was butchered by Fox. So we're going to have to wait a little while for the X-Men. Until then, enjoy the animated series. I hope they get the original voice actors they had before if they're still available. And I want to hear Wolverine calling everyone Bub again. Number 3 is DC finally getting some big news with Black Adam and Shazam news. What you already saw in the thumbnail and what was so cool was that The Rock actually showed up in costume as Black Adam. We first got news that he had signed on to play this character way back in 2015. So let's be serious. A lot of us didn't think this was going to happen, especially with DC's track record in the movies being very erratic. And they showed the first trailer, which looked pretty good. It looks like that he's going to fight the Justice Society, which is going to include a Golden Age looking Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and other characters. The Black Adam film is scheduled to come out October 11th, 2022, and they better get the money while they can because Black Panther is coming out in November. So congratulations to Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. This looks pretty good. It should be a big hit. Playing second fiddle to this is Shazam 2, aka Fury of the Gods. This is the sequel of the 2019 film starring Zachary Levi. It was a surprise hit for Warner Brothers when people expected it was going to bomb back then, but it actually did pretty good. Black Adam is a Shazam universe character, and some people were surprised that they didn't try to spin him out of the Shazam movie properly. But hey, here we are. It looks like the Shazam family is going to have a bigger role in the actual action in this movie, and I'm for that because I've always been a big fan of Megan Good. Okay, more like a crush, but I digress. But this is going to be very interesting. The movie's going to come out in December 21st, 2022. The trailer looks very exciting, so I'll be here for that. Number 2 is the names for the Avengers Part 5 and Part 6 have been announced. If you thought that the death of Tony Stark and Black Widow and the team disbanding after Endgame would be the end of the Avengers franchise, then you are mistaken, because they're just going to add more Avengers with a new team. Part 5 is officially named Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. We got our first introduction to Kang in the Loki web series on Disney+. This show was weird but very good. It had you asking, why is there alligator? Marvel asked, do you like weird? We said yes. And then Marvel said, well, hold my beer. Jonathan Majors, who has breakout in Lovecraft Country on HBO, is playing Kang. He's the overseer of the sacred timeline, which gets thrown into chaos when he's killed by Loki's female variant, Sylvie. And due to this, his more murderous variants of himself are going to run wild and cause destruction, which only the Avengers can handle. Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, is destined to come out on May the 2nd, 2025. Then there's Avengers 6, which has been titled Avengers Secret Wars. We really don't know this much about this film at this moment, except for its title. But there's speculation that Marvel is going to give us something big like Doctor Doom or the Beyonder or even Silver Surfer and Galactus. We don't know yet, but this poster is giving an indication of who were the previous bad guys in other movies and who we can expect for the future. You can expect for newly introduced characters to join a team like Shang-Chi or Monica Rambeau, or characters who haven't been introduced yet, such as Nova. In the original Secret Wars comic series in the 80s, that's where Spider-Man got his all-black costume, which set up events that led into Venom. Since Sony owns the Spider-Man properties and they're doing whatever they want to do, they can't do the storyline quite this way. So the Avengers Part 5 and Part 6 have got us all the way out to 2025. So all I have to say to Marvel is shut up and take my money. Before we get to the number 1 biggest reveal, let's go over some honorable mentions that came out. Music, please. Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3 has been scheduled for May the 5th, 2023. We're not only getting Adam Warlock, but the big bad is an obscure character from Marvel Comics called the High Evolutionary, and he showed up in full attire at SDCC. Paper Girls from Image Comics, which won an Eisner for Best New Series in 2015, has a live action series now. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's about 4 paper girls that witness an anomaly on the eve of Halloween in the 1980s, get transported to the year 2022 and meet their future selves. It's inspired by Stranger Things and Stand By Me. It was created by Brian K. Vaughan, who's a real genius. He created The Runaways, Why the Last Man, and Saga. Barbie is getting a live action movie series. Yes, really, Barbie. It's going to be played by Margot Robbie. They released this photo. That's all we have at the moment. And Ryan Gosling is supposed to be playing Ken. We'll see, but I'm very skeptical. And then there's Spider-Man Freshman Year, which is a new animated series without a street date at this time. It's supposed to be following Spidey in the early days of Peter Parker, and it kind of feels like a throwback to the Ditko era. I love that era. I love that run, and I'll be there for this. Then there's the Fantastic Four, who are finally making their MCU debut after being tortured and destroyed by Fox for all these years. John Krasinski made a cameo as the member of the Illuminati as Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange 2, and fans have been creating images of his wife, Emily Blunt, as Susan Storm. Marvel's first family will make their appearance in 2024 in the MCU. Echo, she's getting her own web series on Disney+. She made her introduction in the Hawkeye web series. She's a female action anti-hero, and her thing is that she's deaf. And like Matt Murdock, who has to overcome the disability of blindness, she has to overcome the disability of not being able to hear. Agatha Harkness also gets her own show. She was the villain in WandaVision. She stole a lot of scenes in that show and developed her own new fan base. You'll be curious to see what happened to her after the Westview event. And then there were the Eisner winners for 2022. I will make a separate video about this if I got time. The Eisners are basically like the Oscars of the comic book industry. The comic series Bitter Root, which has been adapted by Regina King for live action, won for Best Ongoing Series. And James Tynion IV won for Best Overall Writer. He was writing Batman, Something's Killing the Children, and the awesome Department of Truth. This isn't everything, but I could have made a video that's 2 hours long and would still be here and not capture everything. Alright, thank you for waiting. Now we're going to get to the number 1 thing revealed at SDCC. But I think I know that you know what it's going to be. Number 1, Black Panther 2, also known as Wakanda Forever, the new trailer dropped for the first time. After the untimely passing of Chadwick Boseman in real life, people were wondering, what is Marvel going to do to continue the Black Panther series if they're not recasting T'Challa, which Kevin Feige already said he was not going to do? Well, you got your answer, and man, it was a big one. I had this mix of happiness and sadness at the same time. Happy that the story of Wakanda and its Afrofuturism gets to continue, but sad that Chadwick Boseman isn't here to see it through. The trailer also gives us our first look at what Namor and the Atlanteans will look like in live action. Just in terms of how the footage looked, the way it's shot looks incredible. Remember, there are 2 Oscar winners working on this for set design and costume design. The big question, of course, is who's going to be the next Black Panther? I made a previous video about this. See the link in the description. It holds up pretty well, explaining who I think it will be and why in detail. And at the end of the trailer, they threw in this monkey wrench, which gave the impression that it has the colors of Killmonger, but the form looks like it may be a female, so everybody's thinking it's going to be Shuri. Black Panther, World of Wakanda comes out on November 11th, 2022. Alright, that's the top 5 things I think that happened at SDCC, plus some honorable mentions. Tell me in the comment section, what is the biggest reveal that you saw at SDCC? You know the drill. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up, and share these videos on social media so others learn about the Comic Power channel. While you're here, be sure to check out my video asking who will be the next Black Panther, and also check out the video where I give you a breakdown who Moon Girl is. This is Comic Killer 72 signing out for Comic Power, saying bye bye.